That is the most annoying thing ever. Like, I don't know why Zoom decided, I guess to let other people know that I guess they're having issues with people. Like, I didn't know I was being recorded on this call.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm assuming that's probably what's happening. So yeah, so we're going to have kind of, a very small group tonight, which is awesome. Those are my favorite because everyone who shows up gets more attention, right? So I always like those calls. Like this past weekend, I know Lucas is part of my mastermind. By the way, everyone who needs copywriting, Lucas is the guy. Like literally helped me so much. But anyway, like this weekend, like Lucas and I were part of a mastermind. It was him, me, and another person, and that was it. So we got all of our mentors like full attention. So like tonight, you guys have, our full attention. And so it's always super cool to be able to, get to know more of you guys and stuff like that. And speaking of masterminds, I'm super excited because Kri, if there's like one person who's been like my kind of online bestie like throughout this entire process, like I have known Kri since the very beginning of my journey, and she was like the first person to like really work with me on branding and like what everything was going to look like, because so many people get confused as to what branding is versus marketing. And how many of you guys, like if you saw an ad, you would immediately say that's Laurel's ad before even, right? How many of you guys see an ad and they're like, oh, this is a Laurel ad before you even see my face, before you even see who it's from? It's all because like I understand the importance of branding. And so many people just, they're like, I don't understand, like they think that they're doing a marketing strategy, but it's really a branding strategy and vice versa. And so I want to introduce you guys to like the superpower in the industry that, and it's always like one of those best kept secret things, right? Because Kri, you've had your work in like Times Square, you've worked with all of these influencers. Of course, a lot of us have to sign non-disclosures, but I know Kri's like track record, and it's amazing and a blessing that we have her here tonight. And I've wanted to bring in Kri for a very long time, but I know schedules sometimes don't align. And so I'm just super excited to be able to have her tonight because, like I said, she is one of the first people that I ever like really came into contact with. And you guys know, like the internet marketing space can sometimes be a little bit, iffy and BS and everything. And I attended a mastermind where Kri and Matt, who's her husband, they work together and they have this amazing branding company that works with people just like me in order to make sure that everything that they do, because branding is all about like that feel that you give your customers. And so I am super excited tonight to actually have her here with us, and I hope that you guys got a good drink. I don't know about you guys, I'm drinking a little red wine. Maybe did a little pre-gaming, but don't we all? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and especially it's 5 o'clock here. So we're ready to get this party started. Kri, like let's just jam a little bit. Like give them a little bit of idea of like how you got into this, and then what you're gonna actually talk about tonight, and then we'll just kind of jam this out, because I know like some of my favorite people, some of my favorite students here who I see all the time, and so I just want to give them a little peek about like what you do, how you could actually help them tonight, and let's just jam.
Absolutely. So thank you so much again for having me in. I'm so excited to be here. And like I said, or like Laurel said, yes, we've known each other for years now. I remember when you were first getting started with your branding, it was so much fun to take
First getting started. So by the way, Kri was there when this idea for this $7 program came up. So she has literally been here the entire time. So she was there. Actually, I think you were there whenever I first announced the $7 program as well.
Yes. I remember you were like even a little hesitant. You're like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And then you were like, I'm doing it. And then we took photos, we did videos, like you were so in, and it was so much fun. I remember you were wearing like the coolest pink jacket and like had the coolest photos of everyone in the group. So yeah, and it's been so much fun. And so yeah, Laurel asked me to come on today to talk a little bit about the difference between marketing and branding. So to give you like a little bit of a background of who I am, what I do. So I'm a brand strategist, designer, and creative director. I've worked with tons of brands at this point, globally recognized brands like Captain Morgan, Absolute Vodka, Pantene Pro V, Excedrin Migraine, Godiva Chocolate, like the list goes on and on. But I've also worked with a ton of coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs in the space like Chad Thibodeau, Russell Brunson, Steve Larson, Laurel, and a ton of others. And so I help brands become the most attractive choice within their industry. We work on brand identities, on websites, on photo shoots and videos, so your imagery, and we just make sure to bring a brand to life that really represents who you are and what you're about. So today we're going to talk about the difference between marketing, what marketing means, and then what branding means. And then I'm going to get into 4 steps, 4 things that you can do to really get into your branding and develop your branding so that you're standing apart and totally eliminating your competition, making more money. So that's what branding is all about. So without further ado, I can switch my screen here. We can share screen if I can share my screen with you.
Absolutely.
And then I can pull up my slides. Don't mind my messy desktop. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we go. Can you guys see these slides?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. So here's the difference between strategic marketing versus visual branding. So we're going to talk about how to increase your value, how to generate more profit with your branding, and obviously how to become the most attractive choice within your industry. This is what we specialize in. This is what we help all clients with. So you're most likely here because you're obviously not sure how to distinguish between what is marketing, what's branding. So we'll go through that, how to magnetize the right clients, how to stop blending in, and finally start standing out. There's so much competition in this world. So how do you actually stand out? How to eliminate that competition entirely? How to be perceived as higher quality, how to raise your prices and products and services, and branding can help you do that. And then finally, how to live your dream lifestyle with your dream business, because again, that is what branding does. It helps make your job so much easier. So we're going to talk about how to increase your value, how to generate more profit, how to become the most attractive choice within your industry. All right, so what's the difference between marketing and branding? Give me a second here. I'm going to close this out for a second. I'm just going to minimize the video, and I'm not going to see you guys for now, just because I won't be able to read most of my slides. So if you have a question, just shout it out. Otherwise, I will take questions and answers at the end. Okay, so what is marketing and what is branding? So marketing, when we talk about marketing is really about more so the tools that you're using. So it's the tools that you utilize to deliver your message, so to deliver your brand message. So marketing is something that is continually changing and evolving over time. So just like your products, your services, this is always going to be changing. So, content marketing, social media marketing, mobile marketing, television marketing, radio marketing, these are all avenues, but they're always something that you can change and evolve over time. This is also something you can white label, you can pay someone to help you do your marketing. This is really just how you get your message out there to the world. And the difference between marketing and branding is who you are as a company. So it's like who you are as a company or an expert. So it's done on a daily basis. So it's not something that, you kind of do for a while and then it changes, and then you do it for a while and you changes. This is something you do every day. And it's done by you or your team at all times. It's literally the way you answer the phone. It's the way you write emails. It's the way you dress and present yourself. It's your process, how you process your transactions. It's how you keep your current clients. And so I like to think about it in a way where it's like, branding is how you keep your current clients, and marketing is how you actually attract new clients. So it's like how you build awareness and how you attract the consumer attention. And it can be outsourced. Marketing can be outsourced, where branding is internal. It comes from you. It comes from your team. Branding's your strategy. So while marketing encompasses like your tactical goals, branding is going to clearly define who you are, either you as a personal brand or corporate brand, what your consumers expect from you, and then what they're going to experience when they come in contact with your business, your products, your services. It's the overall essence and like how they remember you and how they feel about you as a brand and as a business. Okay. So why is branding important? So there's three main components to why branding stands apart. These are the three that I truly believe are what makes your branding so impactful. So when you have branding, strong branding, it helps you to build your authority. So having authority in your space is what's going to set you apart from your competition. Having authority means having your mission, vision, and values like clear as day, so that your clients and everyone that comes in contact with you, they know what you're about and what you do. So again, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. The way you answer the phone, the way you write emails, your photography, the way you look, the way you're presenting yourself. This all speaks to who you are and what you do.
Yeah,
so
let's stop right there.
Yeah.
Like, let's make this like really super tangible. Like, everyone on this call probably can relate to me because of how I show up, right? Like, what am I, like, I'm not made up. I don't have any makeup on right now. Like, I have a t-shirt on, right? That's all a part of my branding. Is like, my branding is like, I am just like you, right? Like, I see Erica Leary on this call. Like, Erica, wouldn't you say that like you feel like I am just like you? I'm in the trenches. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, my branding, like, because I think a lot of people, Kri, think that branding is all about pretty pictures, pretty colors, brand boards, and all of that stuff. But it's really all about like how, like what I was saying earlier, right? Like, all of you guys could probably identify one of Laurel's ads without even seeing my name on top of that ad, because you're like, that's Laurel, right? I'm loud. I don't like, I'm just very, I'm kind of like the average person's ad person, right? Like, I feel like I do ads for the average business owner. That's all a part, like what Kri's talking about right now. That's all a part of my brand, right? The way that you guys see me, the way that I'm very transparent, the way that I show up, this is all a part of my brand.
Right.
So as Kri's going through this like training, just kind of think about like, if you did like let's say that you did a post on Facebook, and would your audience know it's you versus someone else, right? And so it's like one of those things. It's like, what can we do that's going to make our brand stand out? That's going to be able to, where audience is going to be like, oh, Anton wrote this email. Anton did this sales page. Like, how are you putting your mark on what you do? Because that is what like makes you stand out. Like, I see the way that people talk about me online. Like, they're like, Laurel is not about this. Like, she shows up like, and I don't take any offense to it. They're like, she's like a normal person. Like, she doesn't have the best quality videos. She doesn't have the best thing. She doesn't have this, but she's, and that's the way that you want to be able to have your people, your audience talk about you in that way, to where it's like so identifiable, to where like almost your audience identifies who your brand is better than you do.
Yeah. It's like, I like to call like, your branding is almost like your personality. So like every human being has a personality. Your branding is that personality. It's just, it can help bring it to life in a visual way. And like so we'll go through all the visual ways that we can do that. But it really is just about bringing your personality to life, because your personality is what sets you apart and makes you different from every single other person. You act different, you think different, you see things differently, you believe in things differently. And so all those differences are what needs to come to life in order to really set you apart from your competition. It's really just illustrating that in a really clear and cohesive way. And the more clear and cohesive and strong you can make your points known, the stronger your branding is. Awesome. Okay, so then the next component of standing apart is obviously credibility. So, having authority, this is going to help make you stand apart. It's going to give you that mission, your mission, vision, values. It's going to put those on the forefront. But then you have to have some credibility too. So your credibility comes in, are you consistent? Are you cohesive? Are you doing things that are aligning with the right audience? So are you credible? So colors, fonts, and imagery, like Laurel was saying, she's very bold and in your face and down to earth. And so there's ways to represent that in the color palettes that we use, in the font pairings that we use, in the imagery that we use, like Laurel said, showing up as her authentic self, as opposed to being all done up and like almost fake looking. That's just not her personality. So again, the way that you build your credibility is really just being authentic in you, like demonstrating and illustrating who you are, and every single color, font, image, it speaks. It's like they say a photo's worth 1,000 words. They really do have innate characteristics within them that speak to specific audiences. And so it's about knowing the psychological backings behind the colors, behind the fonts, behind the imagery, so that you know what you're portraying and how the type of audience you're trying to attract. It's all in the slightest little details, and like every detail matters. This is what our job is, to be really critical and scrupulous about every little detail, because it really does tell a story, an overall story, and it attracts the right audience to you when you show them the right things. And last but not least, the main components of standing apart is having a lot of confidence behind your business and your brand, being confident in your offers, being confident in your products, your services, who you are. This was one of the photos we took of Laurel from the very first time we met. And again, look at, she's like bold in her element. She's wearing that bright pink blazer. And it's just, whether you like it or not, people will form an emotional connection to your brand within 3 seconds or less. So your photos, your imagery, your brand perception, it all has to speak to who you are, so that the right audience is really attracting to you. So like I said, pictures are worth 1,000 words. All those little details matters, because that is what's going to make it easier and faster for your audience to connect with you. So here's like a ton of different styles. Okay, so you can screenshot this page. These are the 3 things we need to build, and this is what's going to make your brand as powerful as it can be. Authority, credibility, and confidence need to get skyrocketed in order for your brand to be strong and not fall flat. So as I go through this presentation, I want you to take these pointers into, just keep them top of mind. So one of the first things I want you to keep top of mind is confusion kills and clarity sells. This is one of my favorite quotes. So when things are confusing, when you're wishy-washy, when you flip-flop between colors or fonts or images, and you're doing all different tons of things and you're very confusing, it's going to kill your sales right away. But when you're clear and consistent and cohesive with everything that you do, that's what's going to sell. It's going to make it so much easier. So imagine how it could feel to be understood just with crystal clarity. That's what strong branding is going to do. It's going to help build this crystal clarity with your brand. And it's going to help you convert way more effectively when you have that clear and consistency. And can you imagine how that can change your brand? Just having things be super clear and having people know exactly who you are, who you help right away. So the second thing that I want you to keep top of mind, we talked about credibility and authority, but they say everything about you. So imagine what it would be like to be just the most obvious choice within your industry. This is something branding can help with. So it's going to totally help you eliminate your competition, because you're going to become one of a kind when you illustrate who you are at your authentic self. There's no competing with that, because you're being true to who you are and authentic. And then lastly, nobody does it like you do it. So I want you to remember, like, you are already enough with everything that you already have and who you are. If you're a personal brand, if you're a corporate brand, it's just about emulating and illustrating who you are at your core. It's not about being someone else. It's not about the pretty pictures. It's not about the fake, like doing something that you think is correct or doing what you think you like. It's all about who you are and what you want to portray, and then just how to magnetize the right type of audience to you and how you want them to remember you. So imagine what it would feel like to be known, liked, and trusted right off the bat, and magnetize the right clients just by being yourself. And that is what's going to make you the go-to choice within your industry. And I can assure you that would help so much. So that's what branding can do. And can you imagine how that can change your business? So I just want to show you, so is your brand illustrating your quality, your vision, your values, and your mission? That's what it's all about. So imagine what your life and your business would be like if your brand was doing all of these things for you. Can you imagine how much easier your business would be? And so which comes first, marketing or branding? So we talked about marketing being a lot more of the tactical, the tools that you use. It's ever changing depending on different platforms that arise, the changes that get made. But branding is who you are at your core. It's your foundational pieces. And so branding is what comes first. It must come first because it's the core of your marketing strategy. When you get your branding down pat, then your marketing becomes easier because you know how to portray yourself. You know how you want to be displayed. You know how you want people to remember you. So even if you're a startup or essentially, it's essential to clearly define who you are as a brand before you even begin devising your specific marketing methods or tools or strategies or tactics. Because when you have your brand established, like I said, that's the foundation. And that's what's going to have your clients coming back for more and more and more of your marketing content. And that's how you build customer loyalty. All right, so in this masterclass, we're going to talk about how to build your brand. So your brand strategy, your brand identity, your brand website, and your brand imagery. So 4 topics to really build a really strong, powerful brand. So the first thing is your brand strategy. This is step 1. So a huge misconception I usually get when it comes to brand strategy is, I get this all the time from business owners. As long as I have an amazing product, I don't need a professional brand to stand out, right? And that's not true. Even if you have an amazing product, no one is going to pay attention to it unless it's being communicated clearly and effectively and cohesively. So you could have the best product in the world, but if no one's paying attention or if no one is attracted to it, then it's not going to get noticed. Okay, so your brand strategy is 4 parts. 1, it's determining your target client. 2, crafting an attractive character. 3, developing a clear communication line in the sand. And then 4, positioning yourself as the go-to source. So obviously, first and foremost, you need to know who your target client is, because if you don't know who you're trying to attract, you're not going to be sure of what they want to see. So like Laurel said, she's down to earth, she's bold, she's fun. So that's going to attract that type of an audience. So you need to ask yourself, what type of audience do I want to attract? What are their demographics? What are their psychographics? What are they interested in? Where would they be hanging out? And you need to figure out what's going to attract them to you. What are the characteristics and qualities about you that's going to attract them to you? So you could do this this is a fun little project, a fun little game I like to play. So it's called Create Your 10 by 10 list. It's a 10 by 10 list. And what this does is it just helps you to get clear about 10 things. Write down a list of 10 fears, pains, challenges, and frustrations that your target client has. And then write down 10 hopes, dreams, goals, and desires that your target client has. And this is going to help you to get really clear about, what they're struggling with, what their frustrations are, so that you can help fix those for them. And then it's going to help you to also understand where they're looking to go, what their hopes and dreams are, so you can be that solution for them in their life. And so like Laurel said, people are attracted to me because they want this down to earth quality. So she knows that that's a frustration of theirs. They don't want fake. They don't want overdone. They want real, raw, get straight to the point. And so she knows to deliver that to them as a message in her marketing and in her branding. So another step is the attractive character. So every brand, I'm sure you've seen all of these, every major brand has an attractive character, and that truly is just, how do you want people to remember you and feel about you? It's like your attractive character is like your brand personality, but it's like brought to life. So with corporate brands, it can be fun, kitschy, cartoon type characters like this. But with your brand if you have a personal brand, that attractive character would be you. It would be, you are the personal brand. So it'd just be illustrating all your characteristics and qualities and bringing them them to life in a way that builds like a persona and an image of who you are to get people attracted to that. And so here's another list that you can screen grab. This is a little exercise I do with all my clients, is really just how do you want people to feel about you when they come in contact with your brand? So here's a ton of adjectives. I say to my clients, pick 5 to 10, and then just have that filter, have that be your filter. So whenever you go to post something like an ad or a post on social media, or whenever you do any type of marketing, you want to think to yourself, is it sticking within is it being filtered through these adjectives? If I want to be affectionate, if I want to be grateful, if I want to feel mysterious, then is what I'm saying and what I'm doing laddering up to those ideas? So just always make sure that you have these adjectives surrounding your brand, because that builds your brand recognition and it shows people who you are and what you're about. So make sure to pick those adjectives. And then here's another little exercise I do with my clients, is list 9 topics that you want your brand to become synonymous with. So for example, with us, there's a million other branding people in this world, but what makes me unique is that I focus on branding, websites, photography, videos, and business. And so if you were to go to my Instagram profile, you would also see some personal things like empowerment or life by design stuff or travel stuff or family stuff. And so then you start to see a little bit of a business side about me, a little bit of a personal side of me, and then you start to build this persona about me that makes me different than all the other branding people in this world. And so you should do the same thing with yourself. So I always say 9 topics. I think 9 is good because actually when you go to Instagram, usually the top 9 photos, people can really get a sense of who you are and what you're about right then and there with the top 9 photos. And so if you're always kind of going back to each of your topics and making sure to post those consistently, you're going to become synonymous with all of those topics. And then people are going to remember you as the branding girl who also loves this, or the coach who also does this, or, Laurel, the advertising person that's also so down to earth and just super bold and fun, and she does cocktail hour. So it's really just how you want to be embodied and personified. Another thing that you can think about is your communication. So when it comes to branding, you're going to need a powerful tagline, something that, 1 to 3 words that's going to illustrate who you are and what you do really, really quickly. So we all know Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin', or Nike, just do it, or McDonald's, I'm loving it. So it's just a quick little tidbit of who you are and what you do, just to remind people right away. Another way to communicate with your audience, this is all a part of brand strategy and developing a strong brand strategy, is really just developing your mission, vision, and values and putting that out there into the world. So when people know what you believe in, what your vision is for your company, what your mission is, what your values are, they can emotionally relate with you. So you have to put that out on the forefront. So like, for example, Warby Parker does, when you buy a pair of glasses, they give a pair back and they like to make an impact in this world. They also really appreciate the design of glassware. And then eyeglasses. And then they appreciate their culture. So they make all of these things apparent because this is what's important to them. This is what their values are. And they want to attract people who feel the same way. Another way you can do that with communication is your verbiage and your lingo, the way you speak to people. So over to the left, there's Oatly Milk. I love them. They are really down to earth and fun and just really easygoing. Whereas over to the right, this liquor brand is much more strategic, a little more serious, a little more mysterious. So the way you say things, you can joke around, like the one in the middle. You can get straight to the point by just saying food, no BS. Do you curse? Do you not curse? So just the way you communicate is going to attract the type of audience that you want to that you relate with, and so the way you speak is going to relate to that audience. Also communication, the way you write your bio, the way you write your offer statements, the way you do your marketing content. Jenna Kutcher is a really great example of this because she keeps it really lighthearted and fun. Her bio is really easygoing to read. It's actually almost fun and engaging, whereas some people are much more serious and professional. So how do you want to be portrayed? Because that's going to attract the type of audience, that same type of audience. And then when you position yourself, how and where will your brand show up? So think about here, you can screenshot this page because these are really great questions to ask yourself. When someone lands upon your Instagram, how do they instantly recognize what you do? Do they instantly recognize who you are and who you serve? Is your mission, vision, values, quality, is it instantly apparent? Is what you do different from your competition? Is your brand perfectly placed at the right time at the right place? So many times I see ads that aren't placed at the right time and the right place. So it's really knowing your client and who they are and how you want them to feel about you and placing it right into their face at the right time. Also frequency, it works like a pendulum. So if you post every single day, you're going to be top of mind. If you post once a week, you're not going to be in the right place at the right time. You're not really going to, you're not going to garner all that attention. So again, this is all about building that positioning and building that strong brand strategy. And then do people feel, this is really important, do people feel part of something bigger when they're a part of your brand, like a part of a culture and that they feel connected by? So like this call right now, doing cocktail hour, it's a cultural thing. It's like we're getting together, we're hanging out, we feel a part of something bigger than just Laurel by herself. This is all a community. We feel like a community that's coming together. When you think about Adidas and Nike, they're two of the same type of athleisure brands, or athletic brands, but they do their culture a little differently, and that's what sets them apart. Adidas it's a little more designer focused. Nike's a little more like they're in their celebrity mode. They focus on professional athletes. And so it's a little different. And so however you relate to them in that different way, that's part of their culture that you're buying into. And then a huge part of positioning yourself and your brand strategy is developing a value proposition. So this value proposition is like one sentence, maybe two sentences, very, very short, brief. It could also be considered your elevator pitch sort of style of a sentence. And so it really should just say who you are, who you serve, what you do, and how it helps, all in one sentence. And so you can see that a ton of influencers like Russell Brunson, Angie Lee, they all have a very strong value proposition of who they are, who they serve, what you do. So as soon as you get into their hemisphere, into their world, you know exactly who they are and what they're about, and that helps you to stand apart from your competition. Again, clarity is what's going to sell. Confusion is what's going to kill. So if it's confusing and people don't know who you are and what you're about, it's going to be much harder to sell yourself as a brand. Clarity is what's going to make it easy. Okay. So that was the first, developing a really strong brand strategy. So now we're going to talk about how you develop a very, 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 very strong brand identity. So when it comes to building a brand identity, this is again your persona, but it's your persona illustrated. So this is a huge misconception I get all the time from business owners. If I simply just choose fonts, colors, and imagery that I like, then everything's all good. But the misconception is it's not about what you like, it's about what your audience is going to be attracted to. And it's about being yourself. It's not just like, oh, I like this girl's over here, so I'm going to emulate that and be just like her. Or I like what this person's doing over here, and so I'm going to try and do that. It's not about being someone different or what you like. It's really just about being who you are and illustrating that and putting that out there in the world. So like I said, every font, every color, every image, it all has innate characteristics that are going to attract specific types of people. And so getting these visuals right from the very beginning is what's going to help you become profitable. Take note of this, because when you get it right, this is, like I said in the beginning, your branding is your foundation. So when you get it right, it's going to make everything moving forward so much stronger and easier to sell. When you get it wrong, it can actually have the negative effect. It could have the opposite effect, and it can repel people away from you, the right people away from you. It can literally kill your business. So you want to make sure that you're building a really strong foundation, because this is your brand identity is going to go across everything you do. So it's got to be strong, and it's got to be speaking to who you are.
I actually have a real life example. So this past week, like inside like premium, we do these like 5-minute sales page tests where we will show a sales page to, a couple of people who've never seen it before. and we just have them like spit it right back out. It's a way to test sales pages before you launch ads. Mm-hmm. And I have this one student, she has a brilliant offer. And whenever we were doing the test, we found out that males were actually being repelled and polarized by just the colors that she was actually using in her sales page, because they thought that the colors that she was using, and it wasn't like the obvious colors that you would think, but they were just kind of like, I don't feel like this is for me because it feels like it's more for a female. Yep. And so everything that Kri is saying right now, like I see it myself, like in the way that people react to different types of ads. And especially when my students are launching something new, it has and it's things that you wouldn't think about, right? Like she has an amazing offer for real estate agents, but male real estate agents were like, I'm not sure if this is for me just because of the look and feel that was on the sales page. And so we had her like kind of switch, because she was like, oh my God, like I would have never thought that. Like, yes, it's for like, all real estate agents. And so everything that Kri is talking about, like you wouldn't think would make a huge difference, but just little subtle things, right? Like if I tomorrow, you guys saw a new ad from me and I'm wearing like, I'm all decked out. I've got my eyelashes. I've got my hair all nicely did. I've got my makeup. I've got my like power blazer. I'm wearing like high heels, and you guys would be like, what the fuck is wrong with Laurel, right? Get too much wine last night on conversions over cocktails, right? But that would make you guys stop and be like, what the hell is she doing, right? Like it's like, those are like the little subtle things that sometimes people will be like, that doesn't seem like that's Laurel, or that doesn't seem like that's Heather, or whoever. And so everything that we're learning tonight are things that like people don't think are big deals until like you hear research and just customer feedback from what's going on. So I just had to kind of make that point, because like this week I actually saw like what you're teaching us right now, I actually saw it have an effect on like whether or not someone was about to buy something because they thought it wasn't for them because of the brand appearance that this person was portraying.
Yep. And how many times too in the reverse, like I don't know if you've ever done this, maybe I just do this because I'm a branding person, but do you see something at the store that just like looks so amazing? It's like, oh my God, the branding on that is so cool. I need to have this. And then you buy it and you're just like, it's like, the taste or whatever is like, okay, but I bought it because it's just so attractive and appealing to me too. So like it works in the reverse too.
That's literally how I pick out which wine I'm going to buy. Like if I want to try it, like, or craft beer, right? Like craft beer always has like those like really attractive labels. And it's so funny because like I recently was hanging out with Dan Henry, and he was like, I know you like whiskey. Have you tried this? And I was like, I don't think I have. And he literally told me the reason that he chose this whiskey was because it was the only whiskey bottle that had this nice little ribbon with like a gold logo on it. And it stood out to him. He would have never thought to try it, but it was because it was the thing on the shelf that like stood out the most.
Exactly. I have so much fun in the grocery. Like if you guys follow me on Instagram, I do this thing called brand games where we go and we're like, we compare, like, would you rather buy this product or this product based on branding alone? And it's just so fun to see. It really does make such an impact on, your buying decisions. And like Laurel said in the reverse, you can be putting the wrong branding identity in front of people's faces, and it can be attractive. It can be repelling the right audience away from you just because of what you're putting out there. And so if it was aligned, then you would be able to align with the right audience and they would buy your product. So again, brand identity is so important in just the sales process and how to make more money. So let's go through brand identity and what that means. So this is, like I said, the foundation for everything you do moving forward. So we're going to talk about logo designs and what's incorporated there, how to develop a psychologically driven color palette for your brand, how to decide upon strategic font pairings, because all the colors, all fonts, they all have innate characteristics. So you want to make sure you pick the right ones in order to speak to the right audience, and then how to establish a signature style. So when it comes to logos, this is a logo series that we just did for a client. And so you can see there's a primary, a secondary, a tertiary, and a logo mark. So there's a whole plethora of logos here, but they all have the same look and feel. They're all very consistent, all very cohesive. They all have the same font and treatment. The only difference is that they're a little different. So some are more comprehensive, like the first one, the primary one has everything incorporated. And then the secondary and tertiary they're sort of piggybacking off of that primary, but they're a little more simplified. So the reason for this is you're going to have all different placement and places that you're going to add your logo. So at the top of your website, you might have more space and more room. At the bottom of your website, you might need something that's a little more condensed because you have a lot more going on in your footer. This is also going to change. Like, let's say you do stickers, you're not going to have room to put your primary logo. So on stickers, you're going to want to use your logo mark, which is a little symbol that symbolizes your brand. And so it all has the same look and feel and effect, but it's all just iterations of each other so that they fit in different places. So you're going to want to make sure you build an entire kind of collection of logos that go on different spaces in the appropriate zones, but they all have to be consistent, cohesive. That's the main point here, so that they, when you see a logo on anything that you do, on an ad and on anything marketing, that it comes from that same business. They're all consistent. Same with colors. So like Laurel, if you're bold and colorful and playful with your colors, you're instantly going to recognize this is Laurel's marketing. This is Laurel's advertising. When you have a color palette that you stick with consistently, this is going to build brand recognition. And so when you choose your colors, you want them to be psychologically chosen because they all have innate characteristics. And once you choose them, you don't want to flip-flop between colors because that's going to lower your brand recognition. So keeping them all consistent for a while, for a long time, for at least a couple of years, but until, you can always evolve, but keep them for a good amount of time to build that brand recognition and get people knowing who you are and what you're about before you change anything. So this is kind of like an everlasting thing. So the way that you pick the right colors is think about who you're trying to attract and that target market, because they're going to be attracted to a certain color palette. This is not a time for you to pick colors you like, unless what you like is what your audience likes as well. So unless you and your audience are like very similar and you want to attract people that are just like you, then it's going to make it much easier for you to know what to pick. But first and foremost, you want to consider their needs over yours, because let's just say you like the color pink, like Laurel's example from her client. Let's just say she likes the color pink and green, but that's not really attracting a male audience. It's actually repelling them. So now her personal preferences are getting in the way of her sales because she's choosing things that are emotionally connected to her as opposed to being emotionally connected to her client. So first and foremost, figure out who you're trying to attract and what they need to see. And then number two, how do you want them to feel about you? Because colors give off feelings. And so you want to portray the right colors in order to give off those feelings. So here's a good example of a color palettes, all different types of colors that represent different characteristics. So for example, if you are a media company and you want to stimulate someone and get their attention and you want to, fuel the energy and fire within them, you're going to want to show them the color red, because that is right away, that's going to bring the attention. It's great for media. But if you are like an all natural, organic, maybe let's just say food brand or something like that, then you're going to maybe want to show them the color green, like for sure, show them the color green. So that represents nature and healing and security and freshness. So it's all really dependent on what you're trying to portray, who you're trying to attract, and how you want them to feel about you. If you want them to feel like you're a little bit more majestic, a little more spiritual, a little bit more mysterious, you're going to want to portray yourself with maybe the color purple. So again, every single brand chooses these colors respectively and psychologically, not just because of our personal preferences, but because of what people want to see. Your people want to see. And then when you do things like multicolored palettes, this is awesome for like a collaborative environment. So like Google does this really well, where you're speaking to all multicultures, multinationalities, different ethnic backgrounds, all different intelligent levels. So when you have a plethora of people, multicolored is a great way to go with that. And then also you can incorporate metallics. So if you want to show yourself as, represent yourself as a little bit more of a luxury brand, or if you want to attract a little bit more of like luxury type clients, then you can show them some metallics. A little personal note, like don't go overboard with metallics, keep them, use them sparingly, because they can get borderline tacky if you use them too often and too much. But when you use them in a nice, sophisticated way and simple way, like Versace or Guess, it feels really nice and luxury. So you can attract that type of an audience. So here's a color palette example that we've done for a client. This was for a medical company, and this medical company is a little bit on the organic natural side. So we showed them the colors blues. There's a couple different shades of blues. That's to build trust and loyalty. Those are the main representatives of the color blue. Obviously the color green, which is that natural organic feel, and then some of the purple shades, because that brings that like majestic, a little bit of luxury, a little bit of royalty feel to their medical brand. So these were picked strategically, not just at random. And then there's 6 color palettes here. I would always suggest having at least 6 colors within your palette. And then again, don't flip flop. Once you have this picked out, stick with that. And so the same thing with fonts. All fonts are going to have innate characteristics within them. So you need to know who you're trying to attract, and then how you want them to feel about you. So there's 4 main categories of fonts. It's super easy. Here's how you kind of break them down. So the first is serif fonts. These are the ones with the little tails on the end of them. These are going to be more traditional, more conservative. So they're going to attract a more historical audience, a little bit more of like publication focused audience. So this was what serif fonts were first used in newsprint, like in newspapers. And so they have that little bit of like wise connotation, a little bit of historical, deep rooted. So you see like Vogue is a publication that used it. Whole Foods is a nice, strong, sturdy brand. Ferrari's a timeless, classic brand. So that's conservative, timeless, traditional. If you want to attract someone that's more modern, contemporary, new age, you'll see like all these new age brands like Target, Taco Bell, Dell. They're going to be very sleek, very elegant, very digital, new age, current, modern. These are the fonts that are just, no tails on the end, very sleek and elegant and simple. Then you have designer fonts, which these are so much fun. I like to have fun with designer fonts, especially with clients that have unique product offerings. Like, so for example, Fanta is obviously a soda. It's orange soda. So when you think of soda, you think of gassy, bubbly, bubbly substance. And so the way that they created their designer font is like in a bubbly, it kind of looks like it's expanding, exploding type of a designer font. So it's literally illustrating the type of product that they have in their font, which is really cool. It's subliminal little details that really just make a big impact because it describes the product. So Baskin Robbins does this really well too. They have the B and the R that they hand created, and it's 31. So you see the pink it's the number 31. And so they were able to display that they have 31 original flavors to their ice cream. So it's a little node to their products, and they put that right in their logo. So the number 31, it's a little subliminal, but when you see it now, you subliminally see that they have 31 original flavors. So with designer fonts, you can get really quirky, really unique, and this can make you really stand apart because you're going to have a unique, one of a kind font that no one else will have. And then you can also have it help you illustrate your point, illustrate your products and services in a really cool way. Again, with designer fonts, you don't want to go overboard. This should only be used for like your logo or for headline fonts minimally. You don't want to write in like body copy with designer fonts because it could get really overwhelming. And then script fonts are the same way. You want to keep these minimal, but they are going to be your elegant, graceful fonts. They're going to say luxury. So you see Cadillac, Hallmark uses script fonts. These are great for like formal invites. But again, they're more formal. So they're going to be, they're going to have also maybe be handwritten kind of feeling. So when you're trying to be a little more formal, you want to use script fonts, but again, use these sparingly. You don't want to use them too much for headlines or too much for logos, because they do get kind of hard to read. So, if you have it in a logo, make sure it's super legible, like Cadillac or Hallmark or Kellogg's. It's got to be super legible, and it's hard to find the great script fonts. So if you need help with that, always just reach out. But yeah, script fonts should be used sparingly, but they're awesome for, showing that luxury kind of feel. And then when it comes to pairing all your fonts together, so when you know who you want to portray, or how you want to portray yourself and who you want to attract, you're going to pick the right fonts. And then the way that you pair them and the way you illustrate them, like let's say on your ad or on your website, is you want to make sure there's hierarchy. So your headline font, your subheadline, you should always have headline, subheadline, body copy, and legal copy. And your headline font should always be the most big and prominent. So when someone goes to your website, like for the most part, they're going to scan and they're going to read emphatically. So they're just going to read like the biggest, most important parts. A lot of times people don't have all the time and energy to read every single word for word. So you want to make sure that you kind of format it in a way where they're paying attention to the headlines and the subheadlines, and the body copy and legal copy kind of fall to the background.
Yep, that's another note, because like as we're doing these 5-minute tests that I was talking about earlier, one of the guys who was on the call, he was like, I literally don't read anything that's past the subheadline font. Exactly. And so anytime you're writing like your sales pages and stuff like that, you want to make sure that the subheadline font has all of the important information. Like if you're doing a webinar, right, your subheadline is going to be like the key things that you want to tell people, like, hey, this is what you're going to learn on the webinar. Because I see so many people like misusing like what you're teaching right now, because they're putting the most important fonts in cursive. I don't know how many times, like I literally like on a call this past week, like one of my private students, like she had an amazing sales page, but like a landing page, right? That's leading people into the webinar. Yeah. And my conversion rate is not very high. And then whenever I was like, I don't understand. You have like an amazing offer, right? When her and I talk about it, I was like, send me the link to your landing page. And she had all of her like sub headlines in cursive font.
Yeah. Cursive, I'm telling you, it's so hard. Cursive, to find script fonts that are really legible is so hard. Like I'm saying that from a branding person that,
and it looks cool. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Trust, like it looks cool, but at the end of the day, you want people to be able to read.
Legibility is key. Yep. Absolutely. It's more important than, sometimes function is a little bit more than is a little bit better than being kitschy with too much design. So function over being pretty sometimes is better. And then when we talk about building a brand identity, now look at this. This is 3 different brands that are all styled this different ways. Okay, so your style, when it comes to your brand identity, you can do the same brand in so many different styles. So the first one is like a little bit more formal. It's got the serif fonts with the little tails on the end, so they feel more formal, a little more traditional, a little more classic. The middle one is a little bit more adolescent. It's got like the colors that are a little more like fun and playful. And then the one all the way to the right, that one's a little bit more, the color palette's more natural feeling. It's more earthy with the blues and the greens, so it feels a little more country. So these are the same. This is the same brand that we did for a client, and these were 3 options we presented to them in 3 different styles. So the way that you style yourself and your fonts, your colors, your brand identity, that's going to appeal to different audiences. So here's a really good example of this. Like this is the same product in the same industry, but it's marketing all to completely different audiences. So this is for hair growth. So all the way to the left, you have like a hair growth product that sort of, it looks like it was a little more slapped together. It doesn't really look like it had much thought. It just sort of feels like the more generic version. The middle one, the Taupeak, the all black one, this one looks like it's marketed towards men a little bit more, because it's got like those masculine browns, masculine blacks. And the font is really classic. The next one over with the silver, that one's a little more luxurious. So it's probably got some solution or some products in it that are a little more high end. So it's definitely telling its clients that this is a little bit more of a high end product. The biolage in the middle, that one's it looks much more natural, right? So it could have more organic ingredients. You can see through it. You can see the ingredients. It's got the leaf, the green, so it feels more natural and organic. The Nature Lab, that one's way more modern, contemporary, sophisticated. So it's speaking to more of like a modern, contemporary audience, maybe someone more cosmopolitan. And then all the way to the right, you have Sunday Riley. Pink bottle is going to speak more towards the feminine side of things. It's nice and sophisticated and clean. So it might have like clean organic products. It would be more geared towards females. So again, this is same industry, all different products, but they all differentiate themselves in a different way and stand apart from their competition because they're styling themselves differently. And here's the same example with coffee. So this is like almost 10 versions of coffee bags. I mean, there's millions of coffee brands, right? And how do you stand apart from your competition? Well, you have to know who you're speaking to, who you're trying to attract, and then also how you want them to feel about you. So if you know the one in the middle, Cocaco, it's very editorial. And there's all these different styles here: vintage, rugged, sophisticated. So who are you trying to attract, and how do you want them to feel about you? So again, your style is your brand personality. It needs to be unique and authentic to yourself in order for it to stand out. It's got to encapsulate your vision, your values, your style, your story, your mission. It needs to be consistent and cohesive across the board. I can't say this enough. When, like, for example, here, let's say we're doing vintage. What you see on the packaging needs to also be represented on your social media, on your website. It's got to all have that vintage same feel so that the brand recognition goes up and they know it comes from you. And then one of the biggest misconceptions that I get all the time from business owners too is a logo alone is good enough. Like, I just need a logo. I'll just slap a logo onto things and that's good enough. Well, a logo alone is not a brand identity. It's a slap together version of it. A brand identity really encompasses everything. It's your colors, your fonts, your imagery, your style. It really illustrates and brings everything to life in a psychological and strategic way, where a logo is just a little tip of the iceberg. So what you really need is a brand identity. And so here's some examples of powerful brand identities the Creative Co's done, just so you can see the different, like how they're marketed towards different people. We've got leaders, coaches, we've got a hair salon, Laurel's down here. We've got some food brands. So you can see how they're all marketing themselves to different people just because of their fonts, their colors, the imagery that we're portraying. They're all different. Okay, so we went through brand strategy. We went through brand identity. So step 3 now to building a really powerful brand is to craft your strategic brand visuals. So that is going to be your photography and your videos. And this is going to be super important for your advertising content. So a lot of times, this is a huge misconception I get all the time. Stock photography is good enough, right? I can just go on, get stock photography and call it a day. And the problem with that is stock photography is super generic. It has models that might not be your authentic client or portray your authentic self. It has different color palettes that are included. It has different lighting situations. Each photo could be photographed from a different photographer. So they're all different styles that are mishmashed. So stock photography is generic. And so you're not generic. You're not a generic brand. You're specific. And so you have to be unique and authentic to how you portray yourself in photos and videos, because it's going to come across. So like Laurel said in the beginning, like if you were to see me all dressed up with hair and makeup and everything done, like you're going to know that that's not my authentic self. And you're going to, the brand loyalty and the brand trust is going to go right out the window, because you're going to feel that like inauthentic feeling from looking at those videos and photos. But when she's aligned and when she's in her true self and in her true confidence and power, it just feels so much more aligned, and the sales are going to go up. So they're going to skyrocket because you just feel connected on an emotional level. Like I said in the beginning, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So all the details matter. So we'll go through how to strategically craft brand visuals. So the first thing I do with all my clients is we create shot lists. So you can take a screenshot of this. if you'd like. This is going to help you to create the right photography and videos that you need to represent yourself. So your products, your portraits of yourself, the different poses you're going to want to keep top of mind, how you portray yourself in posing. Do you need to capture your clients? Do you need to capture testimonials for your website? Do you need to capture team members for your website or for your advertising? You want to do some behind the scenes shots of like how you work and what you do, some of the upper management. So we make sure that we capture all of these on a photo shoot to make sure that when we're going in advertising or marketing ourselves, we have those authentic style photos to display. So here's an example of back in the day when I did a brand photo shoot this was for Bailey's Irish Cream. We were trying to attract a female character. This was around Valentine's Day. And so you can obviously see whipped cream, strawberries, very light and airy. You see like a feminine hand with nail polish. So it gets straight to the point. We're speaking to female audience. Whereas with Captain Morgan, when we were on this shoot, this was much more dark and dramatic because the captain is sort of a mysterious character. And so we brought that to life with the drama and the lighting and the energy from these photos. So again, how you want to be portrayed, the details matter in photos. And you can do that with posing too. So like if you want to be super professional and you want to feel sort of like serious, you look at Charlize Theron all the way in the right, she's looking straight at you. She's really serious and editorial. Whereas all the way to the left, you have the aspiration of this man looking up, he's aspiring. So even just the placement of his eyes looking up, that's like showing people that you want to aspire to be somewhere or someplace. The ones in the middle, you see the two ladies in the middle, they're doing their business. They're down to earth. They're smiling. So you feel more approachable with them, down to earth. Or do you just have products? Like, do you just want to focus on your products, like the earshot in the middle for the earring? So again, posing is going to matter, and so are props. So when you think about the props that you include in your videos and your photography, like even just look at like this prop setup that I'm in right now. I've got an easy oil painting behind me. I've got my plant here, so to bring a little bit of nature. I'm in the color yellow to represent my brand. And so all these things are just strategically chosen, but they're so simple and easy, and they represent who I am. Look at Jessica Alba here. She's in her red suit standing out. She's got all this contemporary artwork behind her. So if those paintings were like of the Mona Lisa and like old classic like paintings, you would think that she's a little bit more traditional. But because they're super contemporary and super modern, you think she might be a little more edgy, a little more cosmopolitan. So all these little things matter. Like in the middle where we have the leaf, that's brings nature into things. So it gives you a more organic feel. If you're a coach and consultant and you have notebooks and pens and a watch or your phone, you're going to be representing yourself as someone who does business. So again, your props matter. Locations matter too. So these are all beauty products, but some are photographed in a bathroom, some are photographed with the model, some are photographed in a studio. So what's the look and feel that you want to portray? Do you want to be authentic and real, or do you want to be a little more editorial and edgy? Same thing with wardrobe. Like we've got athletic wear, we've got professional wear. How do you want to be portrayed, as more down to earth or as more professional and business like? Lighting and quality is going to be a huge one for when you film videos for ads or for when you capture yourself in photography. So if you want to be like relating to your audience in a little bit more lighthearted way, a little more authentic way, you're going to want to go bright and airy and sunny like Marie Forleo. If you want to be more dark and dramatic and gloomy, a little more serious, you're going to want to be like this left one where it's very dramatic Rembrandt lighting, and it's just such a different look and feel. It's going to portray different things. And then when it comes to retouching, I don't want you to go overboard with retouching. I don't want you to feel fake, because that's very easy to do nowadays, especially with filters and everything. We don't want to go fake. But retouching does make a difference. When you look at these, like the poor versions of these photos, look at how sort of muddy and gray they are. It's sort of hard to see the details because everything's sort of all on one scale. But when you retouch it to have really clear lighting and really clear colors, they just pop so much more. They tell your story, they communicate better. So when they're communicating better, that clarity, is going to sell. That clarity is going to help you sell. And the confusion, the muddiness is going to kill your results. So you want to make sure you retouch a little just to get that clarity. And then here's examples of some magnetic imagery we've taken from entrepreneurs and coaches and food and different products, brands that we've done. So you see John Allen's a leader, and he's got people all around him looking up to him, aspiring to be like him. You see Alyssa in the middle. She's a biohacking person. So she's in the kitchen with some food and some lemons, which are organic, and she's in her element. You see Joe all the way to the right with his phone in his hand, and he's like making deals every day. He's super business and super professional. So the props you use in the photos and the way that you style your lighting, like Anton down here with this lighting just beaming on his face, looks so aspirational and so like energetic. And so again, what you put in your photos, the way you light them, your wardrobe, your props, all these details matter and tell a story. Okay, and then so last but not least, we want to talk about how to craft a strategic brand website, because when you have your strategy down, you have your identity down, you have your photography down, now all of that needs to lead somewhere online. So you're going to be doing advertising, you're going to be doing marketing, and they're all going to lead back to your website and your sales funnels. So we want to make sure that that's all consistent and cohesive too. So one of the biggest misconceptions is I can just purchase a website template, edit it, and be all set. That is a no-no. Your website template is not going to be set up for conversions for the most part because it's generic. It's supposed to appeal to everybody. It's supposed to kind of accommodate everybody's needs. So when you build a website that's strategic and it has placement and you're bringing people along to the different places you need them to go, you're guiding your viewers right to where you want them to convert. And like Laura was saying, you know, sometimes using the wrong fonts or using the wrong colors, it could be repelling people. So you don't want to use generic things that are just given to you. You want to make all these choices super cognitive and super psychologically, because all that strategy is going to matter in converting. And that's the biggest thing. If your website's not converting, it's virtually pointless. So here's how we create a strategic brand website. So let's talk about a website versus a sales funnel. So you're gonna, for the most part, as business owners, as brands, we're gonna need both. We're gonna need a website and we're gonna need a sales funnel. A website is more so window shopping. You can think of it as like more so window shopping. It's your online business hub. It's like your house online. So it's going to have like a wealth of information. It's going to have multiple pages. They're all going to be structured. It's going to have navigation bars. It's going to have a lot of stuff for people to sort of window browse through. And a sales funnel is intentional. It's direct. It's streamlined. It has high conversions because it usually just has one link, one offer. And so again, it's much more intentional for selling purposes versus window shopping. And then we want to talk about a lead magnet. So leading with the law of reciprocity, when you lead with value, people are going to be much more inclined to want to work with you because you've led with all this value. They're going to want to give back to you in thanks for everything you've given them. So you want to make sure you provide your people with a lead magnet and make sure that it's consistent and cohesive with your branding. This is something that's free, low cost. It can be a list. It could be a training. It can be anything that's free or low cost, high value, big impact, low commitment, because the name of the game here is to get your name and email and grow your email marketing list. I'm sure you guys have already heard this so many times from Laurel, so I'm not going to, I'm not going to go too much in depth into this, but to just make sure that it's on brand and it's making, so if you send someone your lead magnet, that they feel like it came from you and your brand. And then conversions, when it comes to website, like I said, if your website's not converting, it's worthless. So you want to make sure that you have call to actions everywhere. Ready to become the most attractive brand? Good call. Let's do this. This is total call to action. Launch your dream brand. Live your dream. Shop our brand kits now. They're all call to actions telling people what to do. So the more call to actions that you have, the higher the conversions you'll see. And that goes across your, this is the same thing for ads. This is the same thing for marketing. And then your website strategy, you want to make sure it's strategic. So when you're laying out your website, when we lay out our websites for our clients, we literally wireframe page by page, because we want to make sure that with the branding, with the design of everything, it's all intentional and it's leading our clients exactly where we want them to go in order to convert that sale. Again, conversions are the most important part of a website. Design helps you to build those conversions. Hierarchy is so important, because hierarchy is going to help you build those conversions as well. It's going to tell people, look here first, look here second, look here third. So we talked a little bit about that with fonts, but like if you check out this little game I like to play here, it's like, first you're going to read the biggest, the boldest with the celebration icon, because that stands out. Then you're going to read the second line above it. Then you're going to read the third line underneath. And lastly, you're going to read the little itty bitty text. So the way that you format everything from your fonts, your colors, your photos, all of it matters to build those conversions. And then you want to make your website memorable. So when someone comes to your website or your brand or your social media or anything, you want to make it memorable. You want to give them an experience. So there's this stat that I like to share with clients, that 98% of viewers of your website will not return. 98% will most likely not return for a second time. So you have to give them something. You have to be that 2% of people that gives them that experience, that gives them something to come back to look at, to remember you by. So incorporate animations, incorporate videos, incorporate fun graphics, incorporate, making sure you're consistent and cohesive with your colors and your fonts. All these things are going to help them to remember you. Again, clarity sells, confusion kills. And that leads me to my last point, which is to keep things super simple. Confusion kills, clarity sells. So keeping things simple, like look at this little web page. So this is for you if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or if you have a product or service. It's like black and white. There's icons that help illustrate the point, but it is so simple. There's not a lot of jargon. There's not a lot of graphic patterns. It's just so simple, and it keeps your eye focused. And so when you can keep things simple, your conversions are going to skyrocket. So here's some example of magnetic websites that Creative Co's built, and you can just see, the type of photography that attracts the right audience. There's call to actions right above the fold. There's usually some publicity to really garner that attention. So we are intentional with every single aspect of our website, especially landing pages. You have to be intentional with, because that's going to, capture them right away. So it's like, are they going to stay? Are they going to go? You've got 3 seconds, capture their attention, or they're going to head out and they may not ever come back. All right, so how do you build authority, credibility, and confidence? So I can show you what I've done to create, what I've created and done to make this ridiculously simple for you. And this is just our flagship offer. So if you're interested in getting into it, this is just how we break down. This is our flagship offer to break down and create each of these intentionally. So we can help you to build your brand identity. That's everything we went through: logos, fonts, colors, logo, look and feel, and brand identity manual to get all your foundational pieces in line. We can help you with your brand visuals. So that's your photography, your photos, your videos, getting everything you need for all your marketing content and advertising content. We can help you with your brand website. So your landing page, about page, contact page, lead magnets, all of that, getting that all in line with your brand identity. As a part of our brand trifecta, we also include a launch graphics bundle. So we can help get you launched out into the world and give you a system for your social media, so you don't even have to worry about how to actually launch your new brand into the world. We can help you with stationary graphics bundle to help you to really establish your business cards, your email signature, everything, so it's consistent and cohesive, your sales deck, your slide presentations. And then we can also help you with social media graphics bundle, which means taking care of all your social media cover photos and your social media templates for posts, for content, so that you'd never have to worry about how to post them again. And so if all of that was give you the credibility. So think about if all your branding did was give you the credibility to magnetize those perfect clients effortlessly by simply just being yourself, being authentic, being true to yourself. and you didn't have to work so hard or spend so much time to attract the right clients, think about how worth it that would be to have your branding be on point and to just not work so hard. Again, you want your branding to be like your brand ambassador of your business. So here's some brand identities. Again, John Allen Turner, he's a leadership coach. He works with leaders. He works with Fortune 500 companies. He wants to be taken seriously. He wants to build loyalty and trust. So we've got those blues to build those loyalty and trust. He's a very contemporary, modern age person. So we've got those modern fonts, and you can see his sophistication on his brand come to life through his photography. You see like his, we styled him and made sure he was in his brand colors, in the brand environment that had a little bit of the oranges and the creams, and everything was so super sophisticated and consistent. And then you can see how that landed upon everything else that we did for him. So his stationery, like his business cards and hat and t-shirt, they're all consistent. And then it also goes into his websites and his sales funnels. So they're all consistent. Here's another brand we did. So this is for Palma Kitchen. This is for a Cuban restaurant that's super modern and digital. They do all their ordering online and delivery online and through delivery services. So they're a Cuban brand. So we needed to bring that Cuban Latin flair to life. They're also all natural organic products. So obviously we did a ton of green shades. We did that yellow vibrancy from Cuba, and then obviously modern contemporary because of their audience. So you can see how that all came to life with their logos and fonts and colors and photos. And then how that came to life across their stationery and their restaurant and their photography. It's all got the consistent same feel and tone and look. So again, can you see how if all this did was just make your business so magnetic that you became the most authoritative brand choice within your industry? No more having to cold call, like chase down dead ends, waste hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing, because all you need to do is just show your people the right things and be on point with your branding, and your marketing will be literally working for you effortlessly. Wouldn't that be worth it? So here's some more from Tracy Lewis. You can see she's a real estate coach, and she speaks to both male, female audience. So you can see the color palette is kind of mixed in between. She's also down by the beach in Florida, so she's got those natural oceanic like vibes. She's very sophisticated, high level. She works with a very luxurious type of audience. So you can see that in her branding, the way we did her stationery and her websites. And then you can also see that come to life in her photography and her sales videos. Super sophisticated, and she's in the environment that is really drawing in the type of luxury type of clients that she's looking to attract. So again, if all this did was give you the confidence in your business to just charge what you're worth finally and design the life of your dreams, no more having to work so hard because your branding is working for you, being able to spend time traveling with friends and family. I know Laurel's been able to build a brand that's been able to allow her to do that. We've been able to do that. We've been able to do that for all of our clients. When you change your branding and get it aligned, it helps you to establish a new lifestyle and business that's just really working effortlessly and easy for you. So wouldn't that just be so worth it? So again, if you need help with building your brand, let us know. This is our brand trifecta, and we can help you with literally every aspect of it: your identity, your visuals, your website, all your launch strategy, your graphics for your launch, your stationery, your social media. And since I love Laurel so much, and since you guys are here with me, I just wanted to give you a fun little extra bonus that this is totally complimentary. It's a one-on-one brand audit with me. So this normally goes for $497. It's a $497 value. And I want to give it to you totally complimentary just for being here and being a part of Laurel's group, and because I love her. So this is going to help to, so what we would do is we'd hop on the phone together. It's a private recorded call. So we'd get on the phone together. We'd talk about a roadmap for how to 10x your business, your current brand identity and branding from where it is right now. So we would go through your, everything you've got going on, your website, your logos, all of it. We would give you a strategic, creative direction and plan for how to make it 10 times better and how to optimize it so that it's really performing to your needs and really helping you convert. And then I would absolutely answer all your questions that you have. And again, that's all on a recorded call, so you have it all. This is a $497 offer, and I'm offering it to you guys for free. So take advantage. And again, like I said, if I can help with any of your branding, your identity, or visuals, let us know. And here's just how you get in contact with me. So to craft your magnetic brand, you can reach out at our website at creative.co/hire-us. And then you can reach out to me via email at studio@creativeco.com. You can find me on all social media at Kri Gentile. And if you have absolutely any questions, now's the time to answer them. So I will close this out, open you guys back up, and answer any questions that you have.
And thank you so much. And just so you guys know, like, Kri works with a majority of my agency clients. Like, this is not, like, I see like what she does work because like her and I have worked on several projects together. Like, a lot of the people that she's actually shown you here, or some of my agency clients. And so like, whenever I'm like, and I'll be like, hey, Kri, can you knock out, while you're doing their website, can you knock out some ad graphics that will actually complement what you're actually doing here? Because I always tell you guys, like, people get confused whenever they click from an ad and they get onto the actual landing page. If it's not congruent, if it doesn't seem like it's the same thing, people automatically get confused. I know Erica Leary, she's here, she's in my premium program. We do this all the time. Like, we look at things that are like, what is the ad? What is the landing page? And there's so many times, a lot of times things are incongruent. Like, people get confused so easily because there's so much white noise out there. There's just so many things. And so that's why I wanted to invite her here, not, because it's so easy to get distracted by so many other things that are going on, when one of the most important things is just really honing in on who you are and being able to attract more of those ideal clients, right? It's like what I was saying a while ago. Like, if I showed up all of a sudden very differently than the way that I'm showing up now, you guys would be like, what the hell is Laurel doing, right? If I showed up like Amy Porterfield, you guys would be like, what the fuck is Laurel doing, right? I'd probably lose a lot of you guys, because it's like, it's not authentically who I am. And you guys, I feel like, know, like, over the last 2 years. And like I said, Kri has been with me since the very beginning. She saw me when I was a fucking like nobody, like literally with like no $7 program. No, like, I think at the time I met Kri, I had my agency and that was it. Like, so that's how far. And like, just by following like her and Matt, and we've had like several conversations, we're a part of the same mastermind. Like, we have been working together for so long. There's not a lot of people that I will bring on these calls that I don't personally work with myself. You guys know I'm not just going to throw it, and I get zero. Like, if you guys like want to work with Kri later on, I get like, this is not something that I'm like bringing her in so that, I can make like affiliate commission and stuff on. Like, this is literally me sharing my expert that's in my back pocket, who works with my agency clients. And so right now, like, while you have her, she's agreed to like answer any and all questions. And so don't hold back. Like, she's willing to help you guys with whatever. Like, you guys use her right now as you can, like on this call, absolutely free. So we're just going to open up for Q&A.
Yeah. I'll read through some of the comments too as we do this, and just shout them out. Any questions you have?
A lot of people are like, wow, that is like an amazing offer. Super helpful.
Awesome. Do I see Anton in here? Like,
Anton was here. Oh, he is here.
Amazing.
Anton's part of our little, like, Anton is another person who's been with me, since the very beginning. Like, when I say with me, not as a client, but just like in like this mastermind that I've been a part of for a really long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have a quick question for you, Kri, if you got a second.
Yeah.
So awesome presentation. Thank you so much. That was really cool.
Thank you. Awesome.
The question that came up for me was, especially if you have a brand that's looks and feels a certain way, and you establish yourself looking and feeling that certain way, but you're also doing ongoing stuff. You're doing ongoing social media, ongoing videos, ongoing content. Is there a strategy or a way that you would recommend for someone to keep that branding consistent over time when you're doing lots of content? And especially if that brand is not like something you can just flip a switch on, like you have to go do video shoots or you have to go to a certain location or whatever? What kind of strategy or how would you think about doing that?
Yeah. So like, so is your question like, I have this brand and I need to keep it consistent. How do I do that across everything? Or like, how do I keep that consistency? It's really just about staying true to what you're doing. Like, as long as it's aligning with the right client and it's aligning with who you are as like your persona and illustrating that, I would say keep moving forward with it. So as long as those fonts and those colors and those visuals and the look and feel of your photography, your videos, they all are portraying that persona, I would say keep moving forward with it and don't flip flop, just keep going with it, because that's what builds brand recognition. So the more that they, you have all of those, like even thinking back to like the 9 topics that like relate to like who you are and how you want how to portray yourself and how you want them to be synonymous with you. Like, think about what makes you unique and then just keep portraying it over and over and over again. And then that's what builds brand recognition. And the more consistent, cohesive, like Laurel said, congruent that you could be across all platforms, like the better. Did I answer that? Or like, let me know if there's more specific.
Or I think he might be asking, and correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe like when it's time for like someone else to like take over, like to hand off your stuff, like making sure that, correct me if I'm wrong, Lucas, but maybe because I kind of know Lucas because him and I are in a similar mastermind. I think maybe he might be asking like, hey, how do you manage it when you're handing it off, right? Because like I'm really good at portraying my brand, but then once you like I'm in that part where like I had to hire like a creative director to help me with stuff and all of that stuff. So how do you keep it congruent to kind of like when you need to hand it off?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's also it. But I would add, for example, Marie Forleo is a perfect example of ongoing content where she has to have a specific studio, a specific way of doing her calls every single time.
Yes.
And she invests in that. And that's something that is very important to her versus Laurel. You're very direct. You've got your whiteboard, you've got your, it feels gritty and in the trenches and in the moment. Yep. So if you have a brand that's a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more high end, and you have to consider the ongoing perception that you're giving, how do you think about that from a brand perspective? And if so, how does that inform your decisions moving forward? Especially like I was saying, like if you eventually have to start building that out into other people as well, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, totally. Okay. I totally understand what you're saying now. Okay. So the one way that we do this for our clients is that when we build all of our brand, we essentially build a rule book. It's called a brand identity guide. So I don't know if you have a brand identity guide. If you don't, this is something I would definitely highly recommend doing. This is what we give our clients. It's like a multi-page PDF. It could be anywhere from like 20 to 50 page, however many pages you need in order to set literally every rule up. It's just like a brand manual when someone's, if you're hiring a new employee and you need them to kind of follow rules, you just kind of show them, when this happens, this is what you do. When this happens, this is what you do. So what we do, we call this our brand identity guide. And we literally go, portion by portion, we'll break down every aspect of your brand identity. This is the logos you should represent. This is how you represent them. This is where they should be represented. Here's how to use them. And you literally create rules and standards for absolutely everything you do when it comes to art direction and creative direction. We'll do it. Let me see if I can show you. Actually, it would be more proprietary information. I can't really share it with private clients right now, but it's so like basically, those artboards I was showing you where, it shows the colors, it shows the fonts, it shows the imagery, and it kind of describes and portrays everything. It's like that. That's just called a brand board. This is like a brand identity guide is a more expanded version of it. It's just your rule book. It's like your Bible. And so it goes into all of the different elements, all the different rules. You tell people how to use your fonts, where to find them, how to download them. You tell them what your colors are, what your color codes are. absolutely, like literally every rule for your creative direction should go in that brand identity guide. And then you should be able to take that brand identity guide, send it to whoever's working on your business, and it's like a download. They should follow it religiously, to just make sure that it's keeping cohesion and consistency alive. You can tell them how you want your photos to be done, your videos to be done, you know, every direction needs to be laid out, so that you keep that consistency. So you need a brand identity guide. That would be my suggestion for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Very cool.
Awesome. What
So
else?
there was one question that said, how can you tell if your branding colors you've chosen is effective or could be more effective?
Yeah. So that could be something we could talk about on a brand audit. Schedule a brand audit with me and we'll go over it and I'll let you know, what I think. It's really just about understanding the psychology of colors. So go back to the presentation and look at, are these colors representing the look, vibe, feel that I want to portray and the type of audience I want to attract? And then just kind of picking that way. There's also very technical ways to do it. Like this is what we're sort of trained to do as branding people and like, color psychologists almost. Whereas, when you're creating a brand palette, there's, you can choose the color blue. But if you choose the color blue, that's very dark blue and almost navy, that's going to be more serious, a little bit more masculine. Whereas if you choose something like a powder blue, that's a lot more bright and vibrant, that's going to attract a little bit more of a youthful audience. It's going to have a more light and airy feel. So there's, every tone and shade of color is going to sort of have its own look and feel and attract that type of person. So just work with an expert who really knows that stuff. I mean, otherwise you'd have to do like a ton of research into color theory and psychology. You can totally do that. You can Google it. I'm sure it's available on Google. You can go back to our slide here, but let's work together on a brand audit and I'll go through and just make sure your brand colors are on point and I can point you in the right direction for where they should be.
So we got another question. Veronica says, I do a lot of quote posts in my business page. Should I stick to the same background every time?
I wouldn't stick to the same background every time. You want to give them some differentiation, like keep it fun and engaging and memorable and exciting. So when it comes to, like, let's say we're talking about a social media, like an Instagram feed, here's a little tip I like to use with my clients is when I do quotes, I'll do quote, photo, quote, photo, quote, photo, because it allows you to focus on the actual quote more so than if you have quote, 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 like all in a row, then it's just like your eye doesn't know what to focus on first because they're all the same type of content. So when you give a little contrast and you contrast, your quote with your photo, then your eye has like better placement and can actually distinguish and like digest that content better. What you can do is, let's say your background is a photo with like a blue filter over it. Now you can use that blue filter, but you can change out your photos. So to give it a little bit more of a differentiation, but while keeping it consistent with the blue filter over it. So there's ways to keep things consistent while still changing the imagery and keeping it fresh. And I would say to do that, I would keep it fresh because sometimes when you do something over and over again, it's so repetitive, you gotta kill it. Like it gets a little overwhelming and tiring.
Like one of the things that I do to keep things interesting on my Instagram is like, when it's one of my IGTV videos that's more long form because I have a specific color, you'll know when it's my 60-second strategy because it has a totally different design. You'll know when it's an organic photo, right? Because it's just a regular photo. And then I do like screenshots of like, results and client testimonials. But like, if you go to my Instagram, it's like, it's not aesthetically like as pretty as people who do like quote photo, quote photo, quote photo, but it's consistent with the pacing that I post things. And so like people can go to my Instagram feed and automatically recognize, oh, this is a video. Yep. This is a 60-second strategy, or this is, like a result, like a testimonial, or this is, like an organic photo. And I think like it has less to do with like you have to do things like a certain way. But like what Kri was saying, it's all about consistency and making sure that your audience sees the consistency in the way that you post, right? Like so many people like plan their stuff like all willy-nilly. And it's like, you know, what works for me might be a little bit different for you guys, but we always want to be consistent so that when people visit our social media, it's a familiar tone.
Right. Exactly.
That's all about like your brand.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to do quote photo. You don't have to even try to make things like super pretty, you know, just, again, it's really about who you are and how you want to be portrayed and what you want to do. But once you establish a way of doing it, like sort of stay consistent with that, because again, that's what builds brand recognition, and people will come to recognize. And yeah, if I was going to Laurel's page and I just wanted to find a video, like I could easily scroll and just look for those video posts versus the quote versus, you know, the regular photos, and it's easy to distinguish.
Any other questions? I know we covered so much tonight.
I know. I'm sorry if it went a little overboard. I know those were a lot of slides, but it was super.
Oh no! When you got to the website part, I was like, "Oops, that's what I need to do." Because I'm still one of those people that I've got funnels. Well, I've got half a funnel, right? Because I got a step ladder as far as my offers go. But like the website is like the one thing that I'm like, "Yep, that's what I'm missing."
Yeah. I mean,
part was extremely helpful to me, because you do want to, especially someone like me. Lucas is like, your half a funnel is better than most people's 10 funnels. But like, I still feel like I need like that calling card, you know, like what you were talking about, like the window shopping thing, to where it's like, you know, like I have like an array of, you know, podcast episodes, and I've got an array of blog posts, and, you know, I've got this, to where it's just like if people like land there, it like knows me, because like all I know is like, you know, I've done ClickFunnels, I've done Kartra, and I'm so used to like being able to drop and drag. And that's like my next step is like, okay, now I need to build a website that is not templated, but something that is like my personality of everything that I'm always doing.
Like your hub, like your house online. That's where like a website is, like it kind of goes through all your services, all your offers, who you are, who you work with. Again, it's more for window shopping, but it's like, these are the people that just want to learn more about you and your offers and what you do, versus the people who are ready to buy. Like that's where you would present them with your sales funnel.
Yeah, because most people who like stumble across, like I halfway do it because I've got Kartra, so I like kind of drag and drop some stuff. But like one of the things that I'm noticing is people are going to myname.com, just because that's kind of like the default, whether they hear me from. And I could give them every vanity URL, but they're always gonna default to laurelportier.com. And so now, like, especially when I'm tracking in Google Analytics, the more that I'm seeing that people are visiting, that my website is literally right now just like, I'm losing so much opportunity by not implementing what you taught us tonight. And it's really just kind of cool to like, once you start tracking things and seeing how people are finding you and the missed opportunities, it's like,
drives you crazy.
It's like crazy, like to see like how much missed opportunity is there in just having a website.
Yeah, like leaving so much money on the table. I mean, yeah, and the website's like the best way to funnel them to your funnels too. Like on ours, we have a services page, and then when we talk about each of our services, they just funnel right over to our sales funnels.
So we have a little bit of extra time. Talk about a hero funnel, because I really love the idea of a hero funnel as a website.
Yeah.
I know that you guys have done one, because I know Joe, like I love Joe Dillon's hero funnel.
Yeah. So we do hero funnels mainly for coaches and consultants. And obviously a hero funnel is what it says it does. So it sort of makes you the hero in the eyes of your viewer. So what it does, it's very strategic. It's, you know, as you land upon it, it usually presents you with a call to action of what you want them to do first, like whether it's convert into something or join a webinar or, you know, do something. And then it kind of goes into who the hero is. So a little bit about your story and talk about, you know, who you are, what you do, how you help serve people. It goes into your offers. You know, this is how we help them. This is how I can help you. This is what's available. you can also do a subscribe section to get them into your convert with the lead magnet. We always put a lead magnet on there to always capture that conversion.
Would you say that a hero funnel can be used as a website?
Yeah.
Or would you say that you would need either or?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny. Like every website that we build, the landing page that they arrive upon is usually structured to be a hero funnel. So it's like the hero funnel is really pretty much just our landing page of that's like the first page of the website, because it sort of just funnels you to where, it funnels you to your services, it funnels you to your contact, it funnels you to your lead magnet. It kind of just lays everything out right then and there while making you the hero and the main attraction. So it really lends itself nicely to like the first page of a website. And it can be that by itself, but you're probably, you don't want to put everything on your hero page because you don't want to overwhelm your viewer. The more options you give them, the less conversions you're going to see on your website. So, as you kind of give them the options, then you sort of need to funnel them to different pages to be specific to those topics. So like, if you're going to talk about your services, then funnel them to your services page where you can talk more about it. So you don't like bombard your hero funnel with like too much information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because like that's where I'm like kind of like, I think I need a hero funnel versus a website, because I only have like 2 offers that people can actually, take me up on. And so it's like one of those things where I think that's always like interesting to see, like, do I need a website? Do I need a hero funnel? Like, what's the difference? Because that's where I get confused too. Because I'm like, do I really need a full blown website, or do I just need a simple hero funnel?
Yeah, I think like you said, you hit it on the nail on the head, is like, depending on however many offers you have, like if you only have 1 offer, you just need 1 hero page. And then that could pretty much do all the details. If you have like, 2 offers, you can get away with doing more of a service page, but you could probably still just do your hero funnel. I would say any more than like 3 to 4 offers, I would do a little bit more of like a beefy website, just because you don't want to put everything all on that one landing page. Can you screen share and show us one? Let me see. I can show you like one second.
Is Joe still live? Do you know?
I spelled my name wrong. Let me see. I think his is. Do you remember what that was called?
7-figure blueprint.
Was it 7 or 7 spelled out? 7-figure blueprint.
I don't remember. I know he just changed it. I know he just did some branding, like rebrands or something like that, because I know he was changing his offer slightly.
Yeah, I remember 7-figure blueprint.
Was it wholesale blueprint? I'm trying to remember. Shit, I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was wholesale blue. We did that a couple years ago. Wholesale. It was like 7-figure. Maybe this one's 7-figure wholesale. Yeah, this is it.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so this was. So this is like more of it kind of turned into an event funnel too, because he's just running his event. So, but it sort of
maybe it's joedillon.com then. I don't know.
Yeah.
My apologies, guys. I'm trying to like remember like what.
I know we did this a long time ago. Leave out the keys. Yeah. So this is a good example of like an event funnel, but it goes into like the different details. Here's a little portion about him that's heroing him. What do you get for coming to the event? That's him. Some testimonials. You always want those. Meet Joe Dillon. So yeah, this is a little bit more of an event funnel. Let me show you. So like ours, okay, becoming a magnetic brand. So again, it's heroing me as the creative director of my business. So it's like, this is my mission statement, become a magnetic brand. Then it's who am I? It's all about me. And then it talks about our clients. There's some video about me, what we do. So now it talks about like heroing my business. So if you have a little bit of like a corporate style business, but you're also the forefront of your business, you would kind of do it in two parts. If you're just the personal brand, you would do it like all based upon who you are and what you do. But so this, since we're a little bit of a corporate style agency, we have like our offers and services there, and see that all leads to different. So each of those would, let's work together, would go to our offers page. Freebies, so you always want to lead with lead magnets. So we've got those two. Heroing us, again, in our environment, what we do, how you can learn from me and work with me. There's always testimonials, and then how to connect. So this is a little bit more structured, like a hero page, because it's definitely heroing me and the business as like the first and forefront, as opposed to like heroing an event or a membership portal or something like that.
Do you guys work within like a certain platform, or do people have to work with like a certain, like, I don't know, Kajabi or ClickFunnels, or do you guys work with like brands that are across all of those platforms?
So we've actually switched to build our websites using Showit, just because I've found that Showit is a little bit easier for a client interface later on when we hand it over to the client for them to use on the back end. It also helps us to incorporate some like animations and videos and photos in a fun way. And it gives us a lot more design ability than I've been able to have with ClickFunnels or other like Kartra or anything like that. So I love Showit, and that's what we recommend as to build our websites. When it comes to sales funnels, we still love ClickFunnels. Kartra is good too. Let me see.
Like if someone kind of asking this as selfishly, so like let's say someone has Kartra, would you be able to build it out there, or would it be something to where like we would just be like, okay, let's build it out someplace else?
No, so like Kartra, you could do it all there. Same with Showit too, where like you could do it all there. And you can use plugins to do ecom if you wanted to. Or what we do is like we'll build it on Showit, and then we will make our sales pages link to ClickFunnels so that we can get that like ecom capability. So sometimes like I like to recommend sort of like cross like pollinating websites sometimes, just for like whatever works best in that sense. Like we just built a website for a client and they needed donations. So then now we're linking it over to a donation site and making sure the biggest part is to just make sure however you do it, that they're still cohesive and consistent in their branding across the board. So they look like they look like they were built in the same platform, even if they weren't. So it really just depends on like what you need done and what you're trying to fulfill and do on your website. And then there's just different things I would recommend. Like we've even like connected Shopify with Showit. So there's just tons of like different ways to do depending on your offers and services and like what you want to do. If you're a personal brand, if you're a corporate brand, it all kind of depends.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I know Kri has like donated like an hour and 50 minutes of her time.
Oh, it's fine. I'm here. I'm having fun.
I know. We always like have fun, so much fun jamming. Like I love jamming. Like, what are we gonna do? Let's build something cool.
Yeah, no, I'm here for questions. If you guys have any, let me know. Like I said, I'd love to offer you that brand audit too. That's a $497 offer I'm giving you guys for free. So take advantage, and I can let you know what's going on with your brand and how to make it better.
Yep. And I'll link you guys in the replay. Like, so this, I'm going to put this in the Lanyap section. And it's going to be under guest expert training. I will link you guys to Kri's contact so that you guys can actually contact her and set all of that stuff up with her.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And you guys will, and that'll be evergreen. So anytime, like if right now is not the right time, that's cool, right? Like I waited 2 years for really like being able to like say, okay, I need this now. Yeah. But Kri and I did work on stuff before. Like right now we're talking like now the next move is website, right? Because you can get a long way without doing a website, but there comes a certain point where you're like, okay, like you're starting to get a lot of eyes, you need to have a website. Yeah. But there are the little things that you probably guys wouldn't even notice that I worked with Kri 2 years ago that have helped me get where I am and identifying like what we were talking about. What are the 9 things that people immediately identify with? I bet like if I asked Erica Leary right now, like what are the 9 topics, she would probably be able to go like this because she's just like gotten used to like my brand for so long, right? Like I remember Kri was actually, I tell this story all the time. Kri, remember whenever I was speaking at Chad Thibodeau's event and I said, question, what is the one thing that I always do in all of my live videos? And how many people raised their hand and was like, drink, right? And I love always telling that story because like, that's what people like. I never noticed that I was doing it. Like when I go live on Facebook, like it's usually I have a drink in my hand, and it's not because I'm an alcoholic. Like I'm just like, that's just kind of like, you know, we like chilling, we like to drink and have our cocktails, but I unknowingly baked that into my brand. It's like that's what like, and it was so funny. I didn't realize that until that point where like, I remember there was a couple of guys, they were all drink at the same time. And I was like, okay, that was not the answer I was looking for, but headline promise of value is the answer that I was looking for.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's actually funny. Sometimes like there's like a quote out there that says something like this, that it's like your brand is what other people say about you too. So it's like, yes, you can try and craft, you know, it is your mission to craft this perception and illustration and like story about yourself, but sometimes it's just what others say about you too, that you're like totally even unaware of. And then it sort of takes someone else to tell you like, this is what I represent when or what you represent to me and what I think of when I think of you. So actually a good exercise is to just ask people around you, like what, like you said, like what is it that I do that stands out to you, or like how do I help you the best? What's something I've done to you know, that's different than other people? And then other like people will say things that will like astonish you. They'll be so like it's interesting to hear those types of results.
Yeah, a couple of my students, like we were like on one of these cocktails and conversions. I don't know if it was because we were all like, you know, drinking or whatever, but like one person like, and I was like, man, I need to go back and I need to like download it and use it as an ad. But like someone was like, Laurel, you're like the reality TV show when everyone else is being like the TV shows that are well produced.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, that is like such an amazing analogy. I was like, I don't know if it was a compliment or not, but like they were like, you're like the reality TV show of internet marketing. And I was like, oh,
isn't that awesome?
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, no, I love comments like that because it helps you to like, oh, okay, well, maybe I need to just keep doing that, more of that, or just, you know, keep that top of mind. And that helps with marketing. And yeah.
Well, like I tried, like, because I've got a television background, I had like, I'm looking at my DSLR camera over there. I've got lighting, I've got everything. And at the end of the day, the videos that are shitty lighting, like what I'm doing right now, perform the best with my audience. I think it's because my audience has gotten trained to where like, this is like the authentic, like kind of raw, you know, kind of side of me, where I've tried running ads, where I've had the professionally, you know, like I've got a really big studio, right? My office. And I've gotten those videos and they don't do as well as the stupid shitty like webcam fucking, you know, shots. And but it's all about, but these are the things that, you know, that we've been talking about tonight, is like, how does your audience react, get familiar with you? And also like, you know, how do they expect you to show up?
Yeah, totally. I just had a client the other day ask, she is a leader, like a leadership coach. And she said, you know, hiking is it's such a big part of me. Like I'm always out in nature and I'm always hiking. And she's like in athleisure, like in athletic wear. And she's like, you know, should I be putting some of this on my website? Now she's a leadership coach. So think John Allen Turner. She's trying to attract, you know, super high-end clients, Fortune 500 clients. So you know what I said? I said to her is, on your website, I think you should portray more of the image of like leadership coach. So like in your office, or, you know, doing things with your clients, you can still be very authentic and like yourself and how you would naturally do that, but portray yourself in that environment so that we can easily connect with you being a leadership coach. But then when it comes to social media, you should absolutely be showing your personal side of you hiking and out in nature, because now you are a leadership coach that also enjoys nature. And so now people who enjoy nature and are looking for a leadership coach are going to pick you versus the person who is always shopping or getting their nails done or, you know, something completely different. They're going to emotionally connect with you on that level. So like I there's, you know, time and place for things too. I think like social media is a really great way to be more personal and like show your true authentic self. Your website, like I said, is your home online. And I told her to, on your about section of your website, that's totally fine to put you in nature and because it's about you specifically. But on your landing page, you want your audience to just instantly recognize and connect with what you're doing. So time and place, but yeah, you can do both in just, you know, in sophisticated ways.
I love that you just said, this is Erica. I love that you just said that because I was thinking the same thing. Like when I'm in my house, I mean, I always have my eyelashes on, but basically I wear eyelashes, lipstick. I never wear makeup. My hair is half the time it's up. I'm always in like a sports t-shirt, something like that. So when I do my videos or anything like that, this is me. Sometimes I'll blow dry my hair, but half the time it's down, half the time it's up, whatever. But then on my website, I have like a more formal look. And I was wondering, like, I wonder if I need, it's really difficult to do like a more formal look if you wanted to actually do, you know, videos more often or something like that. And just, it's not my normal, like, this is my normal me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
totally.
I like that you just said that it's okay to be that normal you on your social media and that on your website, you can be that a little bit more sophisticated kind of look.
Yeah, I actually think that that helps build authenticity with your clients too, because it's like, okay, this is the professional version of her. This is the real version of her. And I see both sides and I can relate to both sides like that. If it works, that totally works for you, that like, keep going with it. Don't, you know, that is who you are. Don't feel like you always have to be polished and prim and proper. Don't feel like you always have to be like one way or another way. It's just whatever works for you is how you should do it, because either way you'll attract someone that's attracted to you.
Yep. And one of the ways that you could actually like get away with, you know, being a little bit more like, let's say you are someone, right? Like John Allen Turner. I always tell him if he wants to do a video that is going to represent authority, do it horizontally. If he wants to do his behind the scenes, I just got finished running or drinking or whatever, and it's more casual, do it vertically.
Oh, yep.
Like the way that we do our live videos says a lot about the attention that it commands.
Yep, totally.
And so like I always tell people, like if you're used to being prim and proper, do those videos horizontally. But if you want to off the cuff and you're usually someone who's dressed up or, you know, someone who's a little bit more put together and you want to do a video because you have something to say, but it's less formal, do it vertically. Like our audience is trained for horizontal to be more like authentic, more credible.
Mm-hmm.
And vertical is more, I'm having a conversation with you.
Yep, exactly. It's like little subliminal things that make such a big difference. This is all in like the details too, like the props or the lighting, even the lighting choices. Like, you know, when you're in more of like a styled environment, it feels a little more professional, a little more stuffy. And then like, if you're outside walking, like Chad would always say to us, like when you're filming content behind the scenes, like make sure you're walking and in action, because people will pay attention to that more than if you're just sitting like static, like you feel like a little more uncomfortable. So there's little subtle things you can do all the time, and just pay attention to what works best. Like look at your numbers and see what people are reacting to and do more of that.
Yep.
Whatever works.
Yep. Especially like, you know, like a lot of people are afraid to do vertical video. And it's like, you do vertical video if you're like, just like really doing things off the cuff, right? Like you don't want to be like, you want to do things like people are like, well, how do you come up with like strategy to like do your content? Like everything that I do is strategic, like all the way down to my personal posts, like my posts that I do on my social media. And you'll always notice that if I want to grab authority from you guys, I'm always going to do a horizontal video, right? Like I'm never going to do a teaching video and it's going to be vertical, right? But when I have fun things to do, like I'm off the cuff, maybe I've got my swamp hair going on, I'm always going to do it vertical because it's a little bit more like, hey, like I'm in the moment, like here's behind the scenes of like what's going on like right now, right? And so that gives you like, just pay attention to like what you want to portray to your audience. And it's just like those little subtle things that can make a huge difference, and it'll change the way that your audience sees you. It's the same way, like if you're shooting video and you're shooting it from below, right? And you're looking down into the camera versus if you're shooting something up high and looking up into the camera, it portrays a whole different side of you each way that you do it.
Totally. Yep, totally. If you're looking down upon someone, it's like, it's almost like you're the superior and they're the inferior. And so then like the opposite, it's like if you're looking up at them, they're almost like a hero, like a trophy. And you're like looking at them up on a pedestal. So even just the angles totally makes a big difference.
I
Yeah.
always have to look up so I can avoid everybody seeing my double chin.
They call it like the Walt Disney shot. Like in television, we call it the Walt Disney shot because it makes your eyes appear bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then if the camera angle is down here, it makes your eye, it doesn't accentuate your eyes like it does like if you're doing this. That's why a lot of photographers will shoot from up because it makes your eyes pop.
Yep. Totally. Yep.
Just some little things.
Little things.
And your chin smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that like the Olsen twins, their secret to looking so thin, like with their is when they don't say cheese, they say prunes.
Of course.
I read that somewhere, like that's like a true story.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Kri, so much. Like this will not be the last time that you guys see Kri. I'm gonna try to drag her in again at some point, and we can talk about more branding stuff, some more, maybe, go over like some other examples and all of that fun stuff. But like I said, I'm gonna link her contact info to the replay so that you guys can get in touch with her, follow her, engage with her. She's super friendly. She always answers. She's sometimes better than me at like answering DMs. But yeah, she's amazing. Her and Matt are awesome to work with. Like I said, I don't recommend anyone that I haven't personally worked with myself. And I like other down to earth people who, have a certain, way with clients and stuff like that. And I've worked with a handful of people. Kri and I work with a handful of the same people. And so I know, like, I'm not just saying like she's good just to blow up smoke. Like she's really good. She's really good at what she does.
Thank you so much, Laurel. This has been such an honor. I'm so happy to have been here tonight. Thank you everyone for sticking by and listening and asking questions and being engaged. And if you need anything else, just let me know. You can find me on social media, shoot me an email. Like Laurel said, just connect with me in any way, and I'm happy to help at any point.
Yep. Absolutely. Have a good night, guys and girls.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks, everyone. Bye.